Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Glad you made it. It's a social production. We're doing it on Friday, July the 12th, 2024, baby. Gang. Oh, sip. Let's go. It's Friday. Sip to the gang. Let's get a sip. This is just fresh right now. Oh, it's hot. That is hot. Let's burn the insides a little bit. It's Friday the 12th, baby. Let's rock and roll. Let's get it together. If we are tuning in for the first time, where can you find these videos? On Instagram? Follow me there. Subscribe on the YouTube channel. Check out patreon.com/RobSadra if you'd like to fiscally, financially support the show. If you've been with me from the get-go, from the Liz, sending all the love right back to you wherever you're tuning in from, whether it's Canada, down south in the United States, Mexico, South America, Asia, Europe, Africa, Antarctica, South Pole as well, over there in Papua New Guinea as per usual, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, over there in Bulgaria, Greece, Finland, all the stands, wherever you're tuning in from. Let's get it going together. Let's do it together. It's Friday, baby. Let's have some fun. Let's keep it. It's gonna be a loose episode all over the place as per usual. No direction, left, right, center, up, down. Who knows? Let's get another sip of this bad boy right here, and let's get ready to bleed together. You're gonna get ready to bleed. I don't know why, but we should, if it's something, that's something you want to do, we should do it together. Let's get ready to bleed. Yeah. Metaphorically speaking, let's bleed from the inside, metaphorically speaking, of course. Hemorrhaging, let's get ready to bleed, yeah. Of course, physically, if you are bleeding, shout out to you. You're really taking it to the, I would join you right now with a little teeny tiny paper cut so we can just let's get ready to bleed, a little emotionally bleeding. But let's do it together nonetheless, wherever you're tuning in. Let's bleed together. I want to see you squirt an ounce of human blood, fluids, life juice. If you are bleeding from the vag, shout out to you. If you are passing stool, which is, maybe you've lacked a little bit of fiber and your rectum is bleeding. Let's get ready to bleed. Again, I'm not bleeding, but I would join you right now if I had paper handy. Just right between the fingers, just so we can, let's get a little emotional. That's right there, whatever that means. Sip to the gang. Let's get ready to bleed together, shall we? Or not. Just stop the bleeding, man. Whose idea was it to start bleeding anyway? Put a tampon on it. If you're bleeding from the nose, tampon. If you are bleeding from the throat, tampon. If you are bleeding anywhere, tampon. Why don't we use more tampons for bleeding anyway? Forget Band-Aids. And I hear Band-Aids gives you AIDS. There are chemicals in Band-Aids that give you AIDS or make you trans. So let's just put if you're suffering from a paper cut, instead of a Band-Aid, put a Tampax or a tampon on it, or get them extra wings, start flying, baby. Let's get ready to bleed together for a second if we can. Or not, or really not. I don't know what I'm saying, as per usual, nothing, but let's get ready to really feel it. Shall we? It's good to be alive, I'll say that. Ladies and gentlemen, are you tired of every morning your alarm going off and you have to press the snooze button, or maybe even maybe you don't even press the snooze button. Maybe you're just the type of fellow or lady that hears the alarm and just wakes because you're ready to get out there and bleed. Maybe you're that type of fellow, or you're ready to take it up you are right there, But that's the thing. Thought about this. We do need a little bit of innovation. Alarms are, because before we had, it's one of those things that hasn't had change in a while. Before alarms, we had the internal alarm. We had the internal clock, as they say, or the internal cock, as they say. Tick tock, tick tock, click clock. So you used to wake up. You felt it. You felt the sunshine in your face. You woke up. Maybe you saw the moon approaching and the sun setting, and that's when you're like, all right, time to dim the fire and go night. Hey, everybody, let's all wake up around sunrise. That's when you, and then we eventually made up clocks and watches and snooze buttons and alarms. But I'm tired of alarms. Let's just change it. I am tired of alarms. It's 2024, as I've said. Many things need changing. Alarms are one of those things. If you wanna, I say this from now on. Let's get a sip of this. It's just hot right now. Let's get a sip anyway, so we can play together. Yeah, I wanna see you. Yeah, right there. Pour it in my eye socket. I'll say this. I want to see more reduction. Just get rid of alarms altogether. Let's make shrinking rooms. Let's make it so when you set a time, let's say, you want to wake up at 5, you want to wake up at 6, 6:30, 6:45. I don't care. Whenever you want to wake up, you set an alarm. But instead of an alarm going, beep, bop, beep, we're making a sound or playing a song. Let's have, hear this, shrinking rooms. That's right, you heard it, shrinking rooms. Let that just settle in for a second, can we? What am I talking? Shrinking rooms, that's right. Forget the alarm system where you had to rely on hitting that snooze button. As soon as whatever time you've set up to wake up, your room will start to shrink immediately, and you have 10 minutes to get up. 10 minutes to get up. The walls are they are closing in on you, getting close. The roof lowering, the walls coming closer and closer and closer, and you have 10 minutes. If you don't get up, you will be squished, just like a little piece of paper crumpled up, just like one of those car destroyers, car pressers, whatever they call it, car shrinkers at the old junkyard, the car crushers, just like that. 10 minutes, and then there's no more reaching for the snooze button. Then there's no more like, oh, do I have another 5, 10? No, you don't. You better wake up right now, because the walls are closing in. Everything's just getting tighter and tighter. If you don't get up until, you are gonna be, oh man. And that way, because if you snooze, you lose. It's got to mean something. It can't just be like, if you snooze, you should lose, but like you should lose life. If you snooze, and that's it. I'm willing to negotiate. I am willing to budge on this. Of course, I don't want it to be one of those things where, like, if we do start losing people, then maybe our consumer base wouldn't grow. But this is one of those products that doesn't need growth. It's one of those products that gets you going, and people will be so afraid of getting crushed, so they'll spread the word, and other people will start consuming it, will also use it and be afraid of, again, literally losing because they've snoozed. So no one will, unless we get a couple of people who are like, let me test this out. Maybe I won't lose if I snooze. You'll lose. You definitely lose. You're crushed. I am willing to, of course, negotiate on how we can go about applying this. It doesn't need to be literally, hard wall or drywall or like cement or woodwork or whatever your interior is. I don't, if it's just like drywall, whatever it is, I don't care. But we could place the inside. How about this? How about the room gets filled up with foam? Just with the foam will get closer, and we can install holes in your ceilings and on the bottom of the floor too, and on the walls as well. And as soon as the alarm goes off, then there's foam coming in from every direction. And if you don't get up in 10 minutes, you'll be covered in foam from head to toe. Deal with that instead of putting it off. So I think this will revolutionize getting up early in the morning, or just getting up on time, or whatever time maybe it's an afternoon nap. Maybe, we don't even need to concentrate on morning snoozes, because some people do sleep they take a power nap in the afternoon. Some call it a siesta, some call it fiesta, some call it whatever they want to call it, but some people take naps, some people cat nap. I've cat napped a couple of times in my lifetime, I'm not gonna lie to you. Not a big napper. But if one of those times where you're like, you've been pushing because you're ready to bleed, emotionally speaking, that is, and you're pushing sometimes 5-10 minutes, just dozing off for a quick little cat nap. Maybe you don't need to rely on a snooze button to wake you up. Maybe you don't need to rely on an alarm. Closing walls just coming in from or spikes. We can compromise. It doesn't spikes, but like not too sharp, so that you're not fully like engorged with just like, you're not, not impaled or anything like that. You're not, but you'll wake up. Something, maybe feathers attached to the tips of spears coming in, but not too close, but just closing in on you nevertheless. Oh, tickling your nose, tickling your elbow, just, oh, what is that? Am I having a wet dream? Maybe. I ejac right there. Why? Because there was a feather at the bottom of your feet just tickling you, and maybe just tickling you in your mouth, and maybe just tickling you in your ear, and boom, there you go, you're awake. Congratulations, we just solved alarms together, ladies and gentlemen, because it's Friday, and that's what we do around here. Sip to the gang. Let's get it going. If you like to see closing in of the walls, replacing alarms, leave a comment. If you are already working in, if you already, maybe you were in some sort of, maybe you fell into maybe you went down to the pyramids of Giza, and maybe you found a trap door somewhere, maybe you rolled into a little tunnel, and now the walls are closing in on you, and that's your reality. Maybe you're getting spikes just coming in closer and closer every morning, just telling you, get out of this tunnel, man. All you were trying to do was figure out how old is the pyramid. 11,451 years? Older than that? Because of water erosion, leaving, who knows? But nonetheless, the walls are closing in on you. Get out of there. 10, 20,000 years old? Could it be older? Who made it? How did they make it? You were just trying to figure out who and how. Giant people made it using music and frequency, using music to move stones. Yeah, you goddamn right, man, but maybe, just maybe. But all you need to know is that the walls are closing. You need to get out of there, man. Wake up. Or else you're gonna be ready to bleed. Let's get a sip of this together. I'll say this, are you the type of fella or lady that likes a good crispy crunch to your food? Like, let's say chips. You like it crunchy, baby? Does mommy like it crunchy? Does daddy like a little crunch? I hear you out there, player. I'll say this, ladies and gents, we need to go crunch, but silent. Up in the game, in the crunch game. Silent crunches. Why, you ask? Because many people need to be doing a lot of tasks while staying fueled up with a little bit of carbs, but also maintaining silence, i.e. a robbing a joint. If you are robbing a joint, maybe you've staked out this place for 7 months and you're ready to go for it now. All right? But you need to stay carved up, because you can't be out there on an empty stomach just running around trying to run amok, can you? You need to stay a little bit, not too much. You don't want to eat a full meal, but like a few crunchy chips. But guess what? You can't do that. You can't do your little robbing fiasco or whatever you're trying to do. Maybe you're trying to, rob a little pet store because you're infatuated by the lizards they have in their lizard area, or maybe you want to get a pet chihuahua, or I don't know, maybe you do whatever. Maybe you're a cat burglar. Maybe that's what you are. But nevertheless, you've staked out this place for 7 months, and then you're like, oh, I gotta get ready, and I hope I don't make any noise when I go in, but I'm hungry. Let me get regular chips while I go into this little pet store to steal a couple of pets, because that's what I do. Is what you'll say to yourself. That's not what I do. That's what you'll say to yourself. That's not what I do, but that's what you'll say to yourself if that's the type of fella or lady that you are. All right? And you're like, I'll just get a regular bag of chips. Regular old cat burglar. Just grabbing a bag of chips, gonna go about my business. No, I've mapped out the lasers. I've mapped out the, motion sensors, but guess what? You didn't think about the noise, the voice sensors. The noise sensors. That's right, son. So you walk in there with your black outfit, head to toe, covered in black boots, black G-string, knee-high leather boots, your whip, nipples covered with black tape and nothing else, and maybe a little neck warmer, because it's summertime, and a little black cap, and maybe a little black mask around just around your eyes, but like leaving the rest of your face and so you can like kind of sort of still look into the camera without giving away your entire identity. Nonetheless, you're like, I'm about to get away with the biggest catnapping of a lifetime, 7 cats in one night. You're about to leave your calling card and you're like, oh, I feel like I should grab a bag of chips and just fill myself up so on the way back I don't get low blood sugar and just like, because I need to drive somewhere. And that's the thing. You grab your next thing, you are making a ton of noise. You are crumpling, you are crunching, the noise of when you reach into the bag of chips, you wake up the neighbors, you wake up the store owner next door, and boom, next thing you know, a lot, because they're like, man, Henry doesn't operate his pet store at 3 a.m. I know Henry. Henry's down at the local strip club getting his tits in it, sticking tits in his face. That's Henry. Pet store Henry during the AM and the PM, or also back into the AM. It's tits in the face Henry. I know Henry. All right, so that's the next thing you know. Pew, 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 pew. Oh, the red and blue. The strobe lights you never wanted, but you got now. And now you're ready to bleed. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? All that could have been avoided had you gotten yourself a bag of Silent Crunch chips. Now you can go about your business, staying fueled up, getting all the carbs inside you, getting that crunch feeling without the noise. Without the noise. Crunchy but silent chips. Silent Crunch chips. Brought to you by Kellogg's. Who makes chips? I don't know. They're like a cereal company, aren't they? Brought to you by Tigers, because Tigers make Cheetos, and Cheetos is like, it's not chips. Brought to you by Lay's, Pringles, one of those guys, any of the silent chips, all the double the crunch minus the noise. Now you could be, or anything, you could just be, maybe you're like, I like to eat chips in the movie theater. But guess what? You've been shamed all your life. And that's one thing. Maybe you're a fella who is just, you're a lady with tentacles for arms, and all you wanted to do is just like, oh, I've been ostracized because I've got tentacles for arms. Everywhere I go, they're like, that's the tentacle arm lady. And you're like, but look at all the different things I can do. And they point at you and they shame you because you got tentacle forearms. And you're like, but look at how many things I can hold, and nobody cares. And your only little thing that you have in life is going to the movies and just eating a bag of chips. But guess what? They shame you there too, tentacle lady. Because you're like, keep it down. You're like, oh, can I have chips? I'll jerk you off with my other hands if you'd let me just have some chips. Look, it's got many purposes. I don't mind. I've got 8 hands. You'll say that, tentacle lady. But guess what? People want to maintain a little bit of silence while they're watching the movie in the movie theater. But guess what? You can enjoy your chips, tentacle lady. Guess what? You can be stuffing your face with chips because they're silent. Silent chips. Enjoy it. You're not a freak. Don't let them tell you you're a freak. You're not. You're a beautiful lady who can give 8 hand jobs. Who else can do what you do? 8 hand jobs simultaneously. It is, oh man, and they've got a mind of their own. So it's like, who's even doing this? I'm telling you right now, you want to go to the library, you want to get a book and start eating some chips, guess what? You're going to be kicked out to the streets. You're going to be kicked out, and everybody else is sitting happily with other like-minded individuals in the library, maybe eating silent food because they're not a fan of crunchless types of fellas and ladies out there. You're like, oh, I wish I could crunch in silence. But guess what? Now you can. Silent crunch chips, so you can eat chips in the library. Do it. Your wife just gave birth and she's a little bit just like everybody's, it was a difficult birth. It's 48 to 72 hours. And you're like, I'm so hungry, but I don't want to wake the new baby and the beautiful wife of mine up because she just gave birth, just, tossing and turning. And, we had to dip her in hot water and put her in ice water. And maybe it wasn't coming out. So she had to squat and push it. Everybody's a little bit on edge, but guess what? All you wanted was a little bit of chips, but she's now managed to get a little bit of shut eye. Do you want to wake her up? I don't think so. Silent chips for those who think of their babies and their wives. Bringing families and loved ones closer together. One silent crunch at a time. Silent crunch chips. we're ready to get into it now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's get ready to, I want to see you squirt it out to the red stuff from the tits. We should have a game. We should totally have a game. Guess which animal is venomous? I'm talking snakes. Right there. Men and women competing against one another, facing boxes filled with venomous snakes. Only one box is filled with a non-venomous snake. Guess which box is non-venomous. All right, so that's the type of show you want to see. That's the type of show I want to see. Men and women sticking their arms in containers filled with the most poisonous, venomous snakes out there. You got to figure out which box is the only box that is not containing the venomous snake. Next thing, people will be lining up. This could be as big as American Idol. This could be as big as Eurovision. I don't even know if that's a thing. I'm just tossing that out there. This could be as big as whatever show is big in Asia. This could be the biggest show on planet Earth. Guess which snake isn't venomous? And you are playing with 5 other individuals. I don't care, 7 more individuals. Guess which box is containing the non-venomous snake? You could, that's the thing. The prize should be really high. I'll say this. The prize money should be like, I don't know what's a high number these days with inflation, but whatever, like $100 million. And your life is on the line. Are you willing to stick your arm in the box for 30 minutes to find out if the snakes are venomous or non-venomous? Most likely they'll be venomous. Only one box of snakes is non-venomous. So you are, again, risking potentially losing your life, but is it worth it? Yes. Hella entertaining, of course. We will have medical emergency services on site. They won't do anything if you get bit by this, because that's mostly so we could say that we had medical emergency services on site. We will let you will die, and because that's how it ups the ante of the game is so hardcore. We're eventually going to get into the Olympics with this shit. Just men and women with rigid arms, just calcified arms, trying to figure out about what's the best way to consume venom but not die. Next thing you know, people are dosing themselves up with snake venom just so they can compete in this. You come up with your, regular fella or lady comes up, but their arms are purple and green. You're like, that looks infected. You're like, no, guess what? I'm so infected right now, venom doesn't even work. Go ahead, and that'll be a thing. So, and we can do it different. I'm not like rigid in terms of like sticking with just one type of animal that's poisonous. We could totally do scorpions. We could totally do scorpions like that. Guess which box of scorpions is not venomous? Figure that out. 30 minutes, stick your arm in there and figure it out. Do you have what it takes? Do you? Because that's it. I would love to. And yeah, no, we're not gonna. You could do whatever you want to your body in order to be able to survive should you get bitten by venomous snakes, which is highly likely. Again, out of all the boxes, only one is not filled with venom. And keep that in mind. All the boxes, venomous. You'll die. Most likely you'll die. This is a slaughter fest. Let's just call it what it is. It's just about people will tune in because we're ready to bleed. Brought to you by energy drinks. The following program contains venomous snakes and lots of people passing out. If you are squeamish, if you're like, I don't want to see people seizuring out on live TV, this isn't for you then. This isn't for you, son. This is not for the faint of heart. This is for the people who've already been bitten by a venomous snake down in the desert or the jungle somewhere in the tropics, whatever. You're like, oh, I didn't even get paid for it that time. Guess what? Now you can. Now you totally will. We will suss you out though. If you're that one guy or one gal out there, if you're that snake lady that's just lived with snakes since the age of 7 and now you're like in your mid-40s, you become a snake lady. You just stab yourself with a snake and you got venom through your blood all over the place, and you're like, my blood is if anybody needs anti-venom blood, this gal's got it. If you are, donating your monthly blood clots because they've got so much snake venom in them that, you'd outsource it to other places in the world where there's a lot of snake bites. That's your side hustle. You do that shit. We will suss you out. You can't compete. That's cheating. That's like card counting. I don't even know what that means, to be honest with you. I'm not really like a gambler. I don't know but how do I feel about card counting? Like it's good to be able to count. It's good to be able to know the cards. It's good to know numbers. It's good to know the nature of the game. Is it cheating? All right, fine, you can compete. We'll get even more venomous snakes. Fine, you'll compete because we believe in card counting. I don't know what that means. Really, I don't. I don't know what that means. Because all the cards have numbers on them. You do see them. People do count them. They are cards. The whole game is like, how many cards would you like? All like this amount of cards. Stop there. Counting cards. You're like, I don't get it. I guess the only people that could play cards are people who don't know numbers or anything about cards. Are you card counting? How many cards are you holding? I have no idea. I'm so lost. All right, good. You can play, sir, as long as you're not card counting. What does this say on your card? I don't know. Is that a 21? You're sitting at like 47. Hit me. Keep playing, sir. As long as you don't know how to count cards, you can play. Because that's the type of game I want to see, man. A little bit of just like, a little bit of life on the line. A little bit of, it shouldn't be just all about money. A little bit of like, put your life on the line. You know what I mean? Let's bring back like extreme, I want to see people hang from, I want to see a little bit, people hang from like helicopters. Just, is he gonna make the jump and make it to the, on top from one cliff to the other while milking a cow skydiving? Will he do it? Tune in, brought to you by energy drinks. Just saying, it shouldn't be all about money. I want to see a little bit of skin in the game, literally. So this is now the time for the people who are losing weight by the second because you're on the Ozempic. I want to see some skin in the game. Oh man, right now, if I had extra skin, I would just be showing up to places, pulling it, stretching it, mounting it against some sort of hard concrete or like wood platform and like putting a nail right through it, freaking people out. I don't feel a thing in my loose skin. You could be like the next whoever that puts things through their bodies, but you're not feeling a damn thing. How is he not bleeding? Is it just loose skin? Next thing you know, people will be like pulling on your skin, asking if it's real or not, and you're like, it's real. You could clothesline people with that shit. I'm telling you right now, if there's like a robbery going on, and they're like, catch that man. All you need to do is just like hook the end of your loose skin to something and, walk away. Next thing you know, clothesline, caught him. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's get right into it. I'll say this. Are you the type of lady or fella that's maybe operating a small business? Are you a mom and pop shop owner? Or even a medium-sized mom and pop shop owner? Are you a large-sized mom and pop shop owner? Are you an extra large mom and pop shop owner? Have you gone so big that you are now a local monster house? Are you working provincially, state? Are you state to state? You're bi-coastal by now. Holy shit, this thing grew out of a teeny tiny little basement apartment. Next thing, are you global? Are you running a global business right now? Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for joining me once again. You might be facing competition in whatever area you are businessing in, but guess what? You need a little bit of extra hand. I'm talking about hired goons. Hired goons, ladies and gentlemen. Tired of competition creeping up on you and causing you to have to, whatever it is that competition makes you do. Tired of your competition. Guess what? Hired goons should be an app that we're willing to make together, of course, like globally speaking, that we'll make an app together and you can hire goons that'll go off to your competition and just give them a shakedown. How about that? You're welcome, everybody. A shakedown app. Nobody has, Oh, how many times you're like, oh, I got a restaurant on this side of the street. I want to shake down the other restaurant on the other side of the street. Now, some might say that, the multiple restaurants are gonna just bring in just even more people to the local area or whatever, and you'll get consumers up the wazoo because of competition. Some people, you're like, yeah, I know all that, but still, I want to just give them a shakedown, and I wish I knew somebody, but I don't. Next thing you know, because you don't have access, you are reaching out to the wrong people. Now you're getting yourself involved in all sorts of circumstances which you did not sign up for. All you wanted was some sort of just like a one night stand with a goon sort of situation. But now they're coming in and checking in on you. Now they're shaking you down for, like, if you want to maintain a safe business place, you got to pay up. And you're like, this is not what I wanted. All I wanted was a little bit of a shakedown of the competition. But they're like, we know that, but now we're in it. We're in it together. Now this is a partnership. And you're like, we never signed an agreement. They're like, this isn't an agreement signing sort of situation. It's more of a just verbal agreement. You're like, we never verbally agreed to anything. We only said a one-time shakedown. They're like, we're in it now. Sitting behind your chair in your office. What? How did this happen? Because you didn't know anybody, because you didn't have access. God, how many times must I see this situation unravel? Business is crumbling. But guess what? We can come together, create an app, shake down goons for hire. You know exactly what you're getting. Again, you got a little food stand somewhere, and you're like, oh, I want to shake down the rest of the food stands. These guys will professionally, because it's through an app, show up. You see them you can track them on the app. They'll come and you just tell them where to go. And they'll go and just, they will break a couple of knees. They will just walk in there slamming doors, just kicking doors, and just, we're here for the shakedown. It's time, what's going on? It's just another like local small mom and pop shop that's serving like pho for lunch, and you just get in there. It's time for the shakedown. You're ready to get shook. Just wielding baseball bats and knives. Because otherwise, think about because that's the thing. So many people go to people who are not professionals. They do just dirty work. They just messy work. Clean up after yourselves. You know what I mean? Just go there like professional. I mean, these guys, the goons that we have for hire, will come in suits. Or at least some outfit that's semi-matching, sometimes matching. All right, fine, the gang has their own personality. They're not up for matching outfits, but nonetheless, a lot of just get in here. It's time for the shakedown. You've been causing a lot of competition for this business right over here. They probably shouldn't mention that, because now those guys know who sent the goons. They won't say that because they're professionals. Open the door, it's time for a shakedown. They'll say that, and they will grab the old, Vietnamese family and turn them upside down and just cradle them for a second. Just put them over their shoulders and just make sure their food is digested, if you know what I mean. Make sure that they will lay out a blanket on the floor so that these fellas and ladies can take a little rest from all the work or whatever. You go to could be any restaurant, it could be any business. You got a local shop that's like focusing in on making business cards. It's time for a shakedown. Throw all the business cards up in the air. No one makes business cards like Jerry over there. He's the only guy in town. Break the guy's knees. Maybe we won't go as far as breaking knees. Whatever you like. There should be options. It doesn't have to be breaking knees. It could be, we will, if you want somebody to just get in there and just shuffle a piece of paper on the top of the desk or something, just get behind the cash register and just shake the cash register a little bit and just count the change, just play with the coins a little bit, maybe just suck on a couple of coins and just like lick the cash that's in the cash register. Maybe if they don't have cash, because a lot of people are going cashless these days, man. We are edging closer and closer to a cashless society, man. But nonetheless, in the meantime, we will get in there and lick those dollar bills and just let them know that there's competition out there. But But if they get notified of competition, maybe then they'll be also able to hire the goons. This is for everybody. This is not like a selective, that's the beauty of it too. This is the beauty of it, because most often hired goons are for like a specific, niche little market. But this is giving access to everybody. This is basically like this is no more than a library card for goons, for hired goons. If you've got it doesn't even need to be business. It could be like a family member. You're like, oh, I want to shake him down for whatever reason. It could be a boyfriend or a girlfriend. It could be your husband or wife, just to be like, oh, just to spice things up in your life. You know what I mean? Just get shook yourself. You could do it for yourself. Just get shook. The door will say, you're getting a shakedown. Just work you over a little bit. Come in there and get in your face. Nothing too intense. Nothing that'll. I'm talking just a couple of working at the old just neck and like shoulders, and maybe just pressing up against you. Maybe just a couple of Swedish female wrestlers will get in there with their large tits and just squeeze you upon the glass door and just make you rethink your life decisions. Hired for goons via apps, like through apps, using your phone. I'll say this, ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday. Let's get ready to bleed together, yeah. Or again, don't. If you are like, man, I've been bleeding for half an hour straight, man. I'm losing a little bit. I'm getting a little wounded. All right, we didn't actually mean literally be bleeding out there together. You don't need to be. And I don't know why I said we, but sometimes I do throw it in there. We did. I didn't mean to. You shouldn't be bleeding just because you're watching. But although I'll say that if you happen to be, if you are bleeding, because it's that time of the month, or you walked into a 4x4, just nose first. If you woke up and you are just like, I don't know, you got a sore nipple from running outside too hard and it's bleeding, then shout out to you, but you don't actually, unless you really want to get into it and start with the bleeding, then let's do this together. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Friday. It's fucking Friday. I'll say this. I will say this. Do you ever think that animals at the zoo, when they are having sex, do they do it for us or do they do it for themselves? Do animals at the zoo have the sex for us or themselves? Like, there is the part that they do it for themselves, but I'm pretty sure they get a kick out of it for us. They might be having conversations with themselves, knowing that we really enjoy them doing it. So they might just be going up to each other, a couple of monkeys, just be like, yo, Greg, people are here. They're throwing bananas again. If they throw bananas, Greg, why don't you jerk me off? I'll jerk you off, Greg. These people love it. I don't know why. What we will do is because they're throwing the bananas, Greg. Let's do it. A couple of lesbian monkeys just going on out there. Maybe they're not even lesbians, but maybe they want to do it because they want to make us think that they're lesbians. Maybe they're just like, Sally, what's up, Betty? She'll say that. Let's scissor right now and make these people think we're lesbians, but they'll throw bananas at us because they think we're lesbians. And they're just like, just chit chat amongst themselves. And these people love when we're scissoring. These people love it. I don't know why. Maybe they're having a discussion. Maybe because we've never sexed in front of animals. Most of us have not sexed in front of animals in a long time. Historically, we have. They know what we're like ancestrally. I'm sure it's like embedded in their DNA. They know we've sexed, but like in modern times, we don't really go out there and like perform in front of animals. They do it for us sometimes. Again, in nature, but it's unless you're out there, you won't see it, or unless you're at a zoo or like a farm or something. So I'm just saying, maybe they talk amongst themselves and they do it. And they know we like to see it, so maybe they do it more in front of us because they want to make us happy. Maybe they think that we forgot, and that's how they remind us. They're like, you guys, this is how you do it. And that's why they're, but that's the thing. I think we should switch it up. We should switch it because it is mostly animals having sex, and we get to see, but they don't get to see us as often, unless you're like a pet owner, unless you're like unless you are a pet owner that leaves the pet in the bedroom while you are having sex, then your pet is exposed to your sexual behaviors, which is nice. Maybe you're the type of fella or lady that goes to your buddy, hey, let's jerk each other off in front of the cats, see what they are thinking. Or maybe you're a couple of lesbians, or maybe you're not even lesbians. Once again, reverse it, flip it, put it on the table, present it. What? Maybe you're just like, hey, Betty, what's up, Sally? Let's scissor in front of the dogs, see what they think of this. And the dogs are like, man, these people. Or maybe they, or whatever they say. Maybe the dogs see it and they get a little bit, they get into the mood and they start, maybe there are 2-3 dogs at your place. I don't know what kind of, all I'm saying is let's reverse, especially talking about animals in zoos. Because it's not fair to just go up to an animal and like, oh man, this horse is mounting the other horse. That is a giant cock right there. Maybe they're doing it to see if you're doing it. Next time you're at a zoo, next time you're at a safari, before you get eaten by a bear, before you get trampled by a giant elephant, strip naked, start doing it in front of the animals so that they know that we too are very much like them. No different, a little bit different, give or take. There are many differences, but very similar nonetheless. So yeah, before you take your last trip to the safari and again get raided and just pounced on by a bunch of African lions, go up to a bunch of African lions, strip down with your loved ones, and just start doing it. Just suck in it. Just let them know that it's not sure, they might get the last laugh. I don't know. I don't particularly know if they're laughing. They'll get the last bite. They'll get the last bite, you know what I mean? But they won't get the last laugh. You'll probably get the last laugh. You're like, oh man, I totally made them eat me while I was having sex right in front of them. Guess what? No one's had sex in front of the lions. Booyah! You could do that. You could totally do that. Switch it up is all I'm saying. Yeah, next time you go up to a monkey, just start jerking, or at least no humans have flicked feces at monkeys. Plenty of monkeys have flicked feces at humans. I'll say this. I'm just saying. It's time to balance out the old, nobody's keeping score, but also it's time to bleed. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Friday, and it's the 12th, I believe. Eating food is, something that's obviously taught, something that's needed from a young age, as we all come out the womb, come out the vag, come out the belly via C-section, come out the, whatever. You come out your moms, all right? Come out your moms, get breastfed, eventually start eating. And some people, you might be coming out, when you're learning to eat, when you're getting introduced to different, when you're chewing solid foods, eventually there might be some sort of, you might have heard variations of this conversation with a father or a mother and a child, or like, and a guardian with their child, finish your plate. Don't waste food. It shouldn't be that you should finish your food all the time, but also there is a thing that maybe you shouldn't waste food, or at least they'll tell you, eat your vegetables, then dessert. Eat your vegetables, then you get the extra gravy in your throat. Eat the broccolis before you have a little bit more of the old bacon. Whatever the case may be, it's always just like a little bit of like finish the meal and consume this before that maybe. No dessert before food. That's kind of like a tradition. No dessert before food. You finish your dinner first, Jimmy. All right? And then you get dessert. You finish the food, then you get ice cream. All right, Sally, you finish the food, then you get the ice cream. You finish the food, then you get the jello, then you get the whipped cream. That's the food, finish the food, then you get the dessert. I wonder if we should have the same approach when it comes to sex. You know what I mean? There should be a conversation along the lines of finish your tits first before you get the vag. Finish the tits first, before you get the vag. You can't have the vag until you finish the tits. Finish the tits, eat the veg, then you can have anal. Then finish the tits, then you move on to the veg. Then maybe anal, okay? And anal is optional. Anal is like dessert, basically. That's, you know, but finish it first. Finish the tits, finish the veg, then you can have anal. But the problem is that you can't. The problem is that you can't finish tits. You literally can't finish. That's the problem. You could shove it all in your mouth. You could shove it. Personally, I've tried. Just squeeze as much of them in there, and your face is blown up, and now you look like one of those like old school like jazz musicians who's just like blowing through a little trumpet with their cheeks just blown out, and they've got like a tumor coming out their neck. But nonetheless, they are making heavenly music, so it's worth it, at least for us. And they seem to be functioning all right outside the whole face situation, but it's only happening when they're playing sax, when they're saxing it up. All right, maybe into late age they'll still have like a little bulge coming out their neck, but who cares? Just flip them to the side. You won't see it, as long as, again, the lights are dim and the room is filled with smoke and there's potential of sex in the AM. Let's keep this music going. But all I'm saying is, ladies and gents, that you should finish your tits as much as possible. But there is a problem. Yes, you can't finish it all, can you? Because there is always more. It doesn't. But then you can eat your. Well, let's do this. Maybe don't finish it, but eat your vag first. Eat your vag first, then anal. Eat your vag first, then anal. You can't just be coming out anal. Or whatever the stitch is for you, finish, For ladies, it will be reversed and like finish your tits before you get the cock. Finish your tits before, finish your man tits before you get the cock. There's no, man tits don't have as, it's not the same as female tits. So you finish your nuts before you get the cock. Finish your nuts before you get there you go. Finish the nuts first. Have the nuts first, then you get the cock. But finish it. Don't leave any behind, because there are people out there who are not having any veg to eat right now. There are people. Did you know that out of 8 billion people, 6 billion people go to bed every night not having the opportunity to finish their vag and cock? And you're just throwing vag and cock on the table. Like I said, you've got vag and cock in the fridge. You've got vag and cock canned up in a little cold room in a basement. You've got a giant walk-in refrigerator with 3 years supply of vag and cock, and you just open up. You come after work, you open up a can of veg and you just have half of it, and you leave the other half on the table, and it's just like the fizzy is gone now, and you ruined it because you don't care. But finish it is all I'm saying. Before you go to Chow Town, before you get in there, finish it first. That's what I'm trying to say, ladies and gents. Boys and girls, it's Friday. I want to say thank you for joining me once again. We do drop here twice a week. If you are wondering to yourself, you're like, man, where can I get these videos? Once again, follow me on Instagram, subscribe on the YouTube channel. All right, go ahead and subscribe. Help your boy, help yourself. We are a small little podcast growing each and every day. Check out patreon.com, by the way, if you'd like to fiscally, financially support the show. So to see it grow right before your pretty little eyes, before your beautiful little eyes, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And yes, check out patreon.com/RobSadri. You can do whatever you like with that. But all you can do is, if you want to just check it out for freezies, it's always YouTube. Tell your friends, tell your family members, tell your loved ones. Maybe you've not spoken to a few family members, friends, people, whoever. Maybe it's time to pick up the phone and stick the video right in their face. Maybe it's time to add a little bit more heat to the bedroom. Time to bring the videos inside the bedroom. Maybe you are underwater doing, also you're looking for treasures under the sea, buried treasure worth billions of dollars. and your crew is awful lonely in the depths of the ocean, how far does this shit go anyway? Who knows? But in the meanwhile, you can take the videos with you. Get a little bit distracted. You have been underwater for far too long. I know that oxygen is limited, but really ask yourself, what are you in it for anyway? Exactly. I think that is basically a rhetorical question. If I've heard one or if I've seen one, I know one, and I'll say this: have a fantastic weekend out there. Thank you once again for being a part of my life and letting me be a part of yours. I'll be back here again next week. In the meantime, peace out. Get out of here. Go home. Get out of here.